Good morning, video gamers. I am your host, Luke. Please welcome our guest today, Zenuel, a video game voice actor and a video game developer from Seattle, USA. I hope you enjoy the show. If you do, make sure you drop a follow. Make sure you go check out our guest today on his socials at PaleFeatherZen, Twitter, and his website is zenuel.com. Zeneul.com. Go. Zenuel, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Zenuel. I'm a game developer living in Seattle, Washington. I come from all over the place, and I've also voice acted in a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm here with you today. So, hi.
Thank you for joining us. All right, so we'll start. Do you work now? And if so, who for? If not, what are you aiming?
Currently, I'm doing a lot of freelance work. So, I'm making a lot of 3D models and stuff like that. I occasionally do some voice acting bits in small stuff that is not released yet, so can't talk about that. But mostly just freelance at the moment.
So with the freelance, what type of what are you working on? Can talk about? I'm not sure.
Yeah, of course. Mostly character design. A lot of people come to me for character modeling and animation and stuff like that. So more of my recent work, especially with games like Scary Tapes and stuff like that, I'm doing the 3D models and all the animation and texture work and stuff like that. So mostly that.
Cool. All right. So what got you into game development?
Oh man, I actually thought about this for a while because the creator of the Beginner's Guide has this big talk about like why do you make games, and for the longest time I had no idea, to be completely honest. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized like I grew up with sort of a hectic life, moved around constantly, and things were never really stable. So the one thing that I did have that was sort of regular was games. I had access to all sorts of different games, and they always inspired me. They always gave me new ideas and new ways to look at the world. So I guess growing up, I was just so infatuated with that idea. I just wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to be involved.
Cool. Definitely an awesome story about that. So what do you love about it, and what do
Okay, so that's interesting because there is a love to there's a lot to love and a lot to hate in regards to development itself. I think my favorite thing about development is that burst of excitement that you get when you first start putting your ideas into action. So it's that moment when your inspiration becomes passion, and that exhilaration you get. It comes about so many times during a project. Like, oh hey, I'm making a thing and it's like fun. It's like this is actually good. This
Yeah.
is entertaining. Those are always super exhilarating, and sometimes they come like right when you need them. So that
Starting
actually
to feel?
ties in. Yeah, exactly. That actually ties in with the thing that I think I dislike the most about it, which is there are often long stretches of dull, dry repetition, which it's necessary, but it can be draining. And I don't especially look forward to those moments, but sometimes during those moments you can get that burst of exhilaration. Like after you get done building a tool or something monotonous, you use it for the first time and you're like, "Oh, hey, this works. This is amazing."
Yeah. I guess it's like any job, repetition, and it has any job you can have a heap of repetition. Just really adapts to.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the difference between game design and game development?
So, um, design and development. So, development is more the process of creating and putting something together, often within certain limitations.
Yeah,
Design is making sure that what you're putting together makes sense and works within its own rules. So, I suppose development is like building a house, whereas design is making sure it doesn't collapse, if that makes sense.
makes complete sense. Very good. So what's your greatest achievement so far?
Okay, I think I have two answers for this, and I hope that's okay.
That's fine. That's fine.
Uh, the first one is kind of cheesy, but it is the truth. I think my greatest achievement has been the people that I've met
Yeah.
along the way.
Yep.
Some of my closest and most dear friends are people that I've met working on projects or friends of other people, like just the networking that I've gone through, because it doesn't feel like networking. It's just making friends like
Making
every few
friends.
projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're incredible people, and I got to see some of my friends on stage at E3 last year, and or this year rather, and I was blown away. I was so excited for them. I was so happy. So I don't know. Those connections are really important to me.
So as a sorry,
No, go for it.
because you mentioned as a streamer, networking is super important.
Right.
That's our main
Right.
thing. Networking. So
Oh yeah.
as a gaming developer, how does that? How does what's the importance of networking?
Oh man. it's it's weird, I'd say. Networking has changed a lot, I think, in the past few years, probably for every industry, but I think game development definitely has some interesting new caveats.
Yeah.
Um, in particular, at least for me, Twitter has been astounding. Getting a lot of work that way and just getting your name out there, posting gifs and stuff like that, posting your work and
Yep.
showing like
Yep.
this is what I'm working on. It works best, I think, for artists and visual developers. There are a lot of programmers who post things and don't get a lot of attention because it's not like a big flashy thing that an artist would make,
Mm-hmm.
which can get rough. But I think, I don't know, networking in the games industry changes a lot.
Yeah.
It varies, but I've found a nice consistency in Twitter so far.
If you give advice, what type of networking would be Twitter?
Twitter and game jams. If you want to get involved in the indie community or in games in general, start making games with other people. Just like get involved in any game jams. It's I think the best way to get to know people.
All right. So your second greatest achievement, or
My second,
I butted in there.
no, it's fine. My second is Anubis, I think. It's the voice controlled AI that I built for Elite Dangerous. I haven't had time to work on him in a while, but I'm really proud of what I was able to achieve with him. Especially, when I first saw the technology of controlling your ship with your voice, I was like, I have to do something with that.
Yeah.
I thought that was amazing.
So what game was that?
Elite Dangerous.
Elite Dangerous.
It was Frontier Developments.
I done it.
No, because
No.
Elite Dangerous I wasn't a part of. It was Anubis is a supplemental for it. It's an add-on. Yeah.
That's why I didn't see.
Yeah.
But I
I'm not
couldn't
involved with that.
All right. So, what are you struggling with now?
Now, I've made a few games about this actually. It's I think it's the same thing a lot of artists struggle with, but I feel like I've hit a point where I really have to go back and reevaluate, which is being satisfied with my work mostly, and just trying to. The difficulty with I think a lot of creators is comparing yourself to other creators, and it's such an easy habit to get into and say, well, my work isn't their work, and they work at a big job, so I need to be them.
Yeah.
And that sort of lack of satisfaction is very, very easy to trip yourself up with. So I think that's what I've been struggling with now, but I'm working on it.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. I am having noise gate troubles
Oh.
because I've changed my mic settings. I changed from my mic to an arm from my desk.
Oh, right, scissor mount.
Yeah. So my noise gate on yes. I just got to get it to where I'm happy, and that will probably be never. So like half the time you hear me and half the time you can't. My noise gate cancels out.
Oh no.
I'm hoping that's right. I got to. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. What kind of microphone are you using?
A blue, yeah, a
Oh,
blue
Blue Yeti.
blue snowball, blue snowball.
Oh, Snowball. Okay.
Um,
I've been using Audio Technica's AT 2020. I recommend this thing. It rules.
yeah,
It's like $100. It's great.
yeah, yeah. This was like $80 or something, and I can't.
Oh
It's
yeah,
it's
nice.
it's so big and fat, just massive, big old snowball in your face.
Big chunky thing. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I used to have one of those sitting on my desk when I was younger.
yeah, like it's massive.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and as I said, it was on my desk, and the noise gate was fine because I didn't need a noise gate. Because,
Right.
but now it's right here. I needed. All right, sorry about that.
Nah, you're good.
All right, so what was difficult in the past?
In the past. Um, I think feeling too intimidated to let myself learn new things.
Yeah,
Um, so in the past, one of the big things I would avoid was programming. I was an artist through and through, and I was terrified of it. It's
yeah,
all math and trigonometry, and I didn't understand it. So for the longest time, I would try to cover my gaps in knowledge with a bunch of other hacks that didn't really work very well, and I struggled more and more until eventually I sat myself down and let myself start learning things.
yeah.
And once I realized, like, oh hey, I can look up a bunch of YouTube tutorials and start from scratch. Like as soon as I learned that, I started letting myself go forward, and it was very nice. But
So
yeah, I think just being intimidated.
intimidated. Yeah. So YouTube videos was a huge help for you, or
Oh yeah,
yeah,
oh yeah. YouTube videos, you got Stack Overflow. It's like everything on the internet is there to help you, and it's incredible. Like all the possible mediums you could find there.
so building on the YouTube question. Oh no, oh no, I've forgotten what I was going to say.
Oh no, that's
Oh,
okay. We can circle back.
all right, no, I've got it. I think. All right, so building on the YouTube question, there's a lot. There'd be a lot of good information and a lot of just false information. How do you cipher through?
um, that's actually fascinating. Because I joke with a lot of other 3D artists, friends of mine, who if you go to YouTube and look up Blender tutorials, they're some of the funniest things. They're wonderful people, and the Blender community is fantastic. But the people who post YouTube tutorials for Blender are very slow and very deliberate. So going through those is often sort of a task and a chore, especially sorting the people who have just learned a thing and are now trying to explain it to you, and might explain it wrong or might do something incorrect. I've seen a lot of beginner like Unity stuff for game development. A lot of people will build things the wrong way, not necessarily intentionally, but just because that's how they learned how to do it. So sorting through that can get kind of exhausting. But I'd say for the most part, as long as you're eager to learn, as long as you keep doing it, it doesn't matter how you start. Even if you start the wrong way, you're going to figure it out eventually.
Yeah, no. So just keep at it, and
Oh
you,
yeah,
you and
yeah,
you'll eventually know what's right and know what's wrong.
yep. In fact, getting started with art, especially, or any creative medium, doing things the wrong way first can often be beneficial down the road because you're like, I
Yeah.
did that already.
Yes, that
I
was
fixed
wrong.
that. Yep, yep.
Alright, so what advice would you give someone who is just starting in the game development?
Um, so there was I've had talks with people a lot about the early stages of development, early stages of getting started with any medium, especially creative. But for game development specifically, I'd say, and it's weird advice, mostly because I haven't really heard it from many people, and that's copy stuff. It's
Copy stuff,
weird
okay?
copy stuff. Like when Breath of the Wild first came out, one of the things that fascinated me most about it was the climbing mechanic. It's simple, but I was like, how did they do that? And I spent like a whole week trying to like break down that mechanic on my own and see like, can I copy this? Maybe I'm not going to use it for anything, but if you make a Tetris clone or you make a Pong clone or something like that, you'll automatically, like, you'll gradually start to accrue skills just trying to do what the other people did, and you might run into the same problems they did, and you have to learn how to problem solve that. It's
Okay.
great.
That's definitely a different piece of advice, but a really good piece of advice. I like that piece of advice
Yeah,
because
I don't hear it very often, but I love that idea.
yeah, definitely. It's different because copy someone else's work, but
It's
it's not
yeah.
copy because
You
you're
don't
gonna
have to use it, but
yeah.
yeah. As you're learning their process. And then once you have that, you can then turn it into your own.
Um, it's different, but I think yeah. All right. Anyway, so you worked on a Starbound, a PC side scroller. What was your role within Chucklefish?
So at first it was audio. Primarily I was doing music and sound effects and stuff like that, alongside Curtis, who was our main composer. But after a while, all of the stuff that I worked on and the stuff that Curtis worked on ended up implemented, and I needed more stuff to do. So they moved me over to doing writing and lore for the game. So I was helping um, alongside Damon Reese, who ended up spearheading like 90% of the lore. They're phenomenal. But I ended up just helping write books and lore that you would find in the world. So there's a good chance if you're exploring Starbound and you pick up codex entries, it was written by either me or Damon. Yeah.
That would make you feel somewhat my stuff in this game.
Oh yeah.
I can't play it but eventually I will. I like that 2D side look of
Oh
games.
yeah. Yeah, I was so inspired by it when we first started development because I had come off of Terraria as like a huge fan,
Yeah,
and I still regularly go back to both of them. But they're I don't know. It was huge for me to
yeah.
have this thing that sort of immortalized my some creative endeavor that I put in. It was really nice.
But yeah, there's something and I feel like 2D side making a huge comeback for some.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're definitely coming back. It's great.
Yeah, I'm definitely not complaining because 2D side scrollers are like these awesome.
They're really charming. Yeah.
Yeah, like you add a graphics in it. It's just nice and not over the
Yeah.
top.
And then we got the return of 3D platformers with like Spyro coming back and everything. God,
Yeah,
I love Spyro.
if you had a PlayStation, but
Oh yeah, yeah. It was a quintessential. It was great.
I think like really thinking back to it, I think Banjo Kazooie probably one of the most stand.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Other than
Banjo. I recently went back and replayed the first one. That was great. It was a good time.
the first one was the best.
Yeah, honestly.
I played the Nintendo 60.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah, I didn't have one. It was like this mythical console that all my friends had. So I always had to go over there to their house, and it was like, oh, now we're playing this. I don't know what this is, but it's cool.
I don't think it mattered what game it was.
Yeah,
The game's awesome.
yeah. It's like GoldenEye. All right, this is happening. I think I played Bomberman 64 once. Anyway.
Bomberman and Mario Kart, obviously.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Pokemon
Yeah.
Stadium.
Oh man, classics.
Pokemon.
Stadium was amazing.
Yeah,
That was the first time I had like an encounter with that sort of rock paper scissors mechanic where you couldn't see like your friend's inputs.
yeah,
It's super cool.
yeah. So
Oh yeah.
I'm waiting for them to bring out the mini version.
Like a classic version.
Yeah, like
That would be outstanding.
Commodore 60. I'm definitely looking for.
Man.
They're gonna make so much money out of it.
Right? I'm gonna pick one up for sure.
I'll be one of the first ones at the door. Let me
Just waiting.
in. Okay, so you've also worked on a few other games, companies including Read Only Memories. Tell me about those.
So, with Read Only Memories. Oh, go on. Sorry.
No, that was the whole question.
Okay. Excellent. So with Read Only Memories, I was brought on as a voice actor for the one of the characters. Sorry. One of the characters, Decker, and I was brought on to help to voice him and bring him to life. And I was also brought back during one of the bigger updates. So the voice acting update, I was brought in to help there. And during the second update, we had I forget, it was like a content update where we added some extra lines and some extra interactions. So brought everybody back. And for Scary Tapes, I'm lead character artist, not artist, character modeler. So I'm doing, so I'm getting concepts and I'm modeling those and bringing them to life, and I'm animating them and texturing and all of that, and I send them back. But those are my roles so far.
And you're still within those companies?
Oh yeah. No, I'm not with Midboss. Once my voice acting stuff was done, we moved on to other things. But I'm still working on Scary Tapes right now.
Read Only Memories. You think I'll be looking at.
Heck yeah. I'm biased, but I recommend it wholly. It's phenomenal. They knocked it out of the park.
Definitely a non-bias.
Totally non-biased, completely.
But as I was looking into it a little bit. Looks cool. Like 2060.
Yep.
I didn't really look into Family Memories.
Yeah, we got it on so many platforms now. It's wild.
Yep. 4,000. November 12th, 2013. Started in 2013.
Wow, dang.
Came out.
Huh. Wow, 2015. I wonder if that was definitely before the update. I think. Huh. I'm trying to remember when.
Nintendo Switch came.
Oh wow.
February.
Oh, yeah.
February 28th.
We're on so many systems now. It's phenomenal.
I think you're on every.
Oh my goodness.
Microsoft. Razer Forge 5. PlayStation 4. PlayStation V.
Oh, that's right. The Vita one. I remember that. That was big.
Xbox One. Android and iOS.
Dang.
Is there any other?
That feels pretty good.
Yeah, millions and millions.
Oh, goodness. I don't know how to feel about that. No, that's phenomenal.
It was made by Mid.
Yep.
Going from like PlayStation stuff. I'm not sure if you've.
No, I was not part of the porting process.
No.
But I most of my friends who were in Midboss went through a lot of that, and it sounded like a lot of work.
Sorry.
You're good.
Have your own website. Games on there. Created easy.
No, I created the games myself, but the websites themselves, a very very good friend of mine, Takori, actually helped me put together my website. I owe them a lot. They did all the work there because I'm not a web developer or web designer, and
No,
they helped me put it together, and it was super generous.
so the games, bunch of different.
Yeah, I have to update it. It's missing a few from my itch.
So, I got tickle in my. Okay, so with
No worries.
games, what process?
The games.
The games, yes.
Um, so it varies a lot. There's a good chunk of the games that are on my itch and my website itself. They were jam games, games that I would set myself to a deadline, or even involve myself in a jam that was already going on, and I would try my best to hit the deadline or work within the limitations, and then try to make a game happen. There was one in particular that Mystic Western had a jam. It was this big thing where they throw out a theme, and you had, I think, 2 weeks to make a game for the Marfa Film Festival. And mine ended up getting accepted and ended up at the Marfa Film Festival. But it was this, I don't know, I like game jams a lot. So a lot of my games are that weird, strict deadline. Here's a really tight timeline, and here's some weird limitations, and then a theme, and you just go. Those are some of my favorites.
My mic's still cutting. Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Keeps cutting out. I think it's my mic. My mic gate. My noise gate.
That's fair. Is it Discord's not using it, is it?
No, Discord's not using it. So
right, you sound good on Discord.
Yeah, like that should be better now.
But
I apologize for that. I'll have to get my noise gate fixed. I'll have to work it out. I think I had it good last time, and then I changed it, and now I can't get it to where it was.
I have my mixer for my mixer, and it was working fine for like 2, maybe 3 years, and then there was an update on Discord, and now Discord messes with my audio constantly, and I have to change my mixer settings as a result.
Man, that sucks. That sucks.
Audio technology.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
Any technology is just way past my normal stuff. I'm not very.
Yeah, no, I have friends who are phenomenal technicians, and I don't understand any of it. It's all magic. Yeah.
It's like I don't know. Way over my head.
Yeah, somebody else do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Goodness.
You mentioned it. There's a game on there called Parliament Station, and coming from Melbourne myself,
yes,
I obviously had to play it, and it ran on my computer because it's not very. It's just a browser game, just a little You walk around a station, and then you go up the endless lift. This is a real thing. I can tell anyone that comes to Melbourne. The lift, the escalator is just, and you look down, and it looks like the bottomless pit down the bottom. Like, it's so big, and it's scary. Like, looking down this huge escalator.
It's infinite. In fact, I'm worried I'm still there. I don't know if I ever got off that escalator. It was alarming.
It's a real thing.
So Parliament's. So when I was visiting early this year, and we were just roaming around the CBD, and for whatever reason, we ended up having to go to Parliament. Yeah. And all of my friends had talked it up most of the time that I'd been there. Like, oh, you haven't been to Parliament yet. All right, well, you're in for a treat. Like, you have to go into the core of the earth and then, take a left. And they worked up this big mythical story. So when I finally got there and, like, experienced it, I was like, there's no way it's going to live up to this. There's no way. It's probably just, like, a short elevator, and they're messing with me. But sure enough, I got there, and I was absolutely floored. This unbelievably long escalator.
Yeah, dude.
And the whole game is based off of, like, exploring Parliament, because I like exploring these, like, spaces. That my friends had made this accidental myth out of this space, and it got into my head. So that the idea of just being there was like, oh, I'm in a special place, like I'm in somewhere unique, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful station. But also the escalator is so long that you have intrusive thoughts when you're going up there, and they feel completely randomly generated, and you're like, I'm never getting off this.
Yeah, it does feel like that. Like I reckon it takes like a good minute or two just to get from the bottom to it's like
it's absurd. Oh.
So
but I was so taken and so charmed. I had to make something about it.
Yeah, that's like Parliament Station. Like to me as a Melburnian, it's not something I'd go raving on about, to be honest. It's just it's just a station to me. So hearing that Parliament Station is spoken about like that is kind of cool. Like that that makes it like I guess a little bit there's a bit of makes it fun, like, you know.
Yeah. I still have friends who are moving to Melbourne, and they encounter it and they're like, oh, this is it, this is the place.
Like you hear about like places like Flinders Street and Federation Square, which is horrible, and places like that, like weird, like Melbourne is just weird.
I loved it. It was super charming. The place just felt alive when I was there. It was really nice. Yeah,
definitely. It's a cool city. It's a fun city. We like our coffee and we like our food.
Yeah, I noticed. It was phenomenal. I was very well fed while I was there. It was great.
And most of the places are pretty good, but some of the places are just a bit
There was this like weird out of the way donut shop that I went to that was absolutely phenomenal. I don't remember what it was called. Melbourne was amazing. I cannot wait to go back.
Was that donut shop just down the little alleyway?
Yes, it was.
Near Flinders Street Station?
Yep.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
I love that place.
I forgot
so good.
I forgot what it's called, but
yeah,
they have a couple around in Melbourne and the surrounding suburbs.
No, Flinders has some really good food too. Well, Flinders has some hit or miss food, and then occasionally some really good food.
So I'm gonna keep going on this. So coming from America,
yeah,
what's the food difference?
Oh boy. So I didn't at first. I did not. I guess I wasn't thinking about it. When I had first arrived in Melbourne, I was sort of shocked because suddenly all my major brands were missing.
Yeah.
So because America's got this brand heavy grocery everything, like everything in there. It's like, oh, especially growing up here, you're used to seeing certain things, and then suddenly there was specific food that I couldn't find, and I was like, uh-oh, how do I do this? I'm lactose intolerant, so I was looking for a very specific kind of milk, and I didn't have it, and I was like, oh, what do I do now?
Shit.
Yeah. It felt like a fish out of water for sure, but yeah, I don't know. It was fun. It didn't feel too jarring. There were a lot of cultural differences for example, you guys have musk as a flavor. That's not a thing here.
Okay.
I was completely. It was wildly new to me.
all these weird things.
Yeah, it was fascinating.
Did you try Vegemite?
I did. It's not good.
Oh, you probably. I love Vegemite. Vegemite's the best.
I haven't had it on what people have told me are proper Vegemite foods, so I have to go back and try it again. But
toast. Just put it on toast.
Yeah, that's what I was told. I just had a spoonful of it.
Oh no! You've given yourself.
That's what I was told.
You've given yourself the worst Vegemite start.
Worst possible experience.
Yeah, like that. Like I can. Sorry, I'm just moving the camera.
No, you're fine.
I can eat it pretty much straight off a knife after I've spread it on my toast, but that's because I'm used to it. But I hear people they smash it in their mouth with a spoonful, and then it's like, it's horrible. It's like, no, it's pretty good. You're just doing it wrong. Don't do it like that. It's not.
You just need something to supplement it. Yeah.
It's not Nutella.
Yeah, no, I'm eager to try it again because people are still pushing. Like you did it wrong, so I'm like, okay, all right, I'll give it another shot.
No, you definitely did it wrong. It's all right. Anyway, did you try our coffee?
I had a bunch of mochas when I was there.
Is it
Those were really good.
is it better than the US?
I actually wouldn't know. I started drinking coffee when I got to Melbourne.
Okay.
Because it was so prolific. I was like, I might as well.
Yeah, coffee's our thing.
Yeah. That said, Seattle's pretty wild about their coffee, so maybe I should compare it soon. And when I go back, I'll see what the differences are.
Mm. I've a few of my friends have been to America, and because most of my friends are coffee drinkers.
Yeah.
They go to America and they think, and they just go, oh, fuck. I know why. Coffee's so shit here compared to. I've had some shitty coffee, so I'm not really looking forward to when I get over there. And
boy,
all right.
I'm also excited. I got friends coming up for PAX next month, and they're all in Melbourne, and I'm excited to see their take on the coffee and just the food in general. I'm sure they're gonna make fun of me, relentlessly. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, and what friends are for is just making fun of each other.
Oh, 100%.
Oh man, I got the worst tickle in my throat. It's horrible.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Is your voice still waking up? No, you're fine.
All right. I don't know why. Okay. All right. So, what is the best tips for someone struggling to grow in your industry?
Oh, jeez.
Oh dear.
So, honestly, I think the best tip for someone starting out, and it's I think this applies to everything, like any type of medium you can think of. Forget what you're trying to be, and just be. It's so easy to believe that you need to follow a very specific path, or learn what everyone else is learning, and compare your work and your achievements, but it's not useful. And because your journey is unique to you, like everything you achieve is unique to you. The challenges you face are tailored so that even just facing them brings you closer to who you're growing into.
Yeah.
Your story is not written with triumph. Like your success does not define who you are. It's every single thing that you do. So just allow it to happen. Be something you're unsatisfied with for a while. Be uncertain about stuff and just do it, and forget what it's all supposed to mean. Just do it.
Okay, cool, man.
Because that shit is hard.
Yeah. I wouldn't know what to do because it's way over my head for one. I'm assuming if I really dug myself in, I would be able to, but I haven't. I'd love to. I'd love to spend a few weeks and just try and build something minuscule.
Right.
But
that's it. Like as soon as you do that, you're already immediately better than when you started.
Yeah.
Just putting yourself into that.
Yeah. So if I was to ask you how to start, how would I start?
Honest to God, Unity has amazing tutorials for going through the very, very basics, and I'll teach you the very basics of coding if you want to do that. If you want to start with art, you can just Blender has some rough vague tutorials, but the way I learned Blender was I brute forced it. One day I just installed it, opened it, and started messing with things, and I ruined it. I absolutely botched it. I opened windows I didn't know how to close. I started deleting things I didn't know how to undo. Started moving stuff around. It just made it chaos. But after a week of doing that, I was slowly learning of okay, I don't hit this hotkey because it brings up a window I don't know, and Unity themselves have amazing tutorials for getting started with making games. Blender. There are a lot of resources on YouTube you can find. There's so many ways to get started, and I think it's really easy to be intimidated by that stuff. So I think the best thing you could possibly do for you, your work, and even the community is just do it, and don't you're gonna fuck up, and that's not just acceptable. That's wonderful. Yeah, those fuck ups make you better.
Oh, of course. I think that's with every type of job, that the more you fuck up, the better you become.
Oh yeah,
because 100%. Because then you know that what not to do next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so Unity, is somewhere to start. All right, I've written that down because
Yeah.
I'd love to just have a dabble in it. At least try it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Honestly, just like booting it up and like messing with stuff is already perfect.
Yeah.
You can avoid the programming for a little while, but their tutorials are super easy. They go through very quickly and they explain everything. It's really nice.
Cool. So I'll definitely look into that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
All right. So, what technology advances will help in the future? Will help game development, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think accessibility is a huge player in this.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more we're able to accommodate and welcome new people into games, the more we remove barriers and boundaries, the more we're going to see games grow and flourish. So I honestly think accessibility is a huge proponent of this.
Okay. So, what do you mean by accessibility? Like being able to access certain people or access certain
Like people with all sorts of like issues for like the Microsoft just made the new controller.
Yep.
That came out and it's made things so much easier. Even the packaging is accessible. On top of that, just Unity putting out their tutorials to make things very clear about like how things are working and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And just everything. I'm I'm a huge proponent of this. I'm a huge I want games to be more accessible. I want more people to be able to make them. I want more experiences.
And then with that, like, you'd be able to get like some people that don't know what they're doing at the start, but are really amazingly talented at it.
Yeah.
And then you'll have all these amazing games coming out in the future because of all this accessible information is pretty much, I think, is what you're trying to say in basic terms. And if so, I
accessible,
agree. I agree.
Yeah, accessible. Like, I just want more experiences. We need people who haven't like necessarily had access to this stuff. Not only the information, but like the technology. So like VR becoming maybe cheaper and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a rocky road, but having access to all this sorts of stuff. I want to see more experiences from stuff, and I think that's going to help games grow. Just having more people in general.
Yeah, definitely. So there's games like PUBG and Fortnite and all these massively big games that are huge everywhere in the world. What do you think makes these games so desirable to play and made them big? What do you think was their key to success?
That one's interesting because I've thought a lot about why I got really into PUBG for a time, like really into PUBG.
Mm-hmm.
And I played it a ton with all my other friends, and most of them are developers as well. And we talked a lot about the stories we created going through them. And it's no secret that PUBG is a little janky. And it's a well publicized fact, or well publicized joke, that like PUBG has some issues, and games in that genre sort of have a lot of growing to do. But I think, at least for me, the thing that brought me to PUBG was the stories. Mm-hmm. You would it was all players, so you just drop somewhere and start doing things and start interacting with your friends, and you'd hear something happening, and like, I don't know, there was this time me and my friends piled into a Dacia because we're all stuck in the blue and we're all dying slowly, and we're like, okay, we got our loot, we got everything, let's all pile into this Dacia.
Yeah.
And then my friend drives it maybe 2 feet and gets it stuck on a cliff, and we can't move, so we all have to jump out of the pub, or I'll have to jump out of the Dacia and just run. And like, that was like a tiny moment in a game.
Yeah.
If it were scripted, I would not have remembered it. The fact that it happened because of my friends, it was this hilarious thing that I held on to. And like, there's so many stories like that. There's so many. Like, I can recount so many ways that I died in a fascinating way, or like a really cool way, or an intense gunfight or something. And I think Sea of Thieves does something very similar. It has that sort of same vibe. You got Sea of Thieves, you got Fortnite and PUBG and stuff like that. And I think they're attractive because of the stories that can come out of that.
Yeah, that's definitely a good answer, man. That's something I wasn't expecting. That answer was nice. That like because you're getting with your mates, and you're having fun and you're creating
Yeah.
your own memories from these games, even if you are unable to be with your friends, sort of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
So, in like, do you think that these games would be so big if they weren't multiplayer? Like, completely different games, I guess. Like, that's such a hard question, isn't it?
Yeah, that
Like,
one's rough. It's I think it I think it really depends. I think a single player story can still absolutely make those kinds of experiences. You got something like I forget their name, the person who made Gunpoint. Um, their big thing was emergent gameplay, just like having things happen when systems interact with one another. Breath of the Wild has a lot of this. Even
mm,
during development, the Breath of the Wild developers said something like they went to an area to test some things, and there were supposed to be a bunch of barrels in this camp, but they were gone, and this was because the wind blew them away. And like just that alone was like made them think of more stuff, and it already had this emergent moment. It was small, but it was important.
yeah,
So I think even even single player stuff like that
yeah,
can absolutely have stories like that.
yeah, definitely. Okay, you worked for Nintendo doing tech support. So
I did.
I'm a big fan of Nintendo. I have a full entire Nintendo tattoo
Oh, nice.
on my arm.
Oh yeah, I saw your picture of DK.
Yeah, and oh, that's a oh,
Nice.
damn microphone. So Mario fan. So tell me about your time there. It was a summer job,
Yeah.
but
Yep. I was doing stuff for the summer.
regardless, I think that's pretty cool. Working for Nintendo.
It was super fun. I still regularly go back to the campus. Well, not regularly. I visit the campus when I have time.
Yeah,
And I still meet up with like friends there, and I'd still go out for food there and stuff. And Microsoft is right across the way. I actually met during my interview when I first interviewed there. I actually met a bunch of devs who were at Nintendo of America and Microsoft, and they were all just having lunch, and they were the ones that got me to Nintendo proper. I was like, I don't know where I'm going. But it was really nice. So I still regularly visit the campus. The they really take care of you. Like during my time there, they made sure everybody was comfortable, and the Cafe Mario gives out amazing food, and
Yep.
it was amazing. We have a big Guardian statue in one of the atriums. It was really lovely.
it's awesome because a big fan of Nintendo. So
Yeah.
as someone that's really into games, like Nintendo is, and my generation, like Nintendo was the be all and end all. Like
Oh,
working
yeah.
for Nintendo was like, that would be like, I don't know, just like the end goal. Like even if you're just doing tech support, like, or
Yeah. Oh, it was amazing.
sweeping the floor, for fuck's sake, like that'd be awesome. I work
We
for
had
Nintendo.
Yeah, and it was like they made it really charming. Like everything there, it has a flourish of Nintendo. Like they even so far as like the bathroom signs are like they're Nintendo characters, and like the meeting rooms are all named after Nintendo products and stuff like that. It's so charming. Like they put love into every aspect of it.
That's awesome. As I said, like
Yeah.
big fan of Nintendo, so working for Nintendo would be like an ultimate dream of mine. Even if I could get to sweep the floors, that'd be just
Oh, it's phenomenal.
All right, so would you claim yourself as an indie game developer?
Yeah, I'd say I'm an independent developer. Um, for now.
For now,
I definitely want to, there's a lot of stuff that I want to try. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I want to learn and want to try, but I think making my own games on my own time and exploring my own topics and ideas is really healthy for me.
yeah.
And as a result, I guess I would label myself as an indie.
Okay. So this goes on to my next question: is the indie game community successful?
So I think success is one of those words that gets thrown around a lot, and it loses its meaning kind of quick.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It depends on what success means to you.
Yeah. To the
Because
individual,
if-
yes. Okay.
Yeah,
definitely.
like is success getting to make games and art? Is in your free time? Is it satisfied, or like is success being satisfied with your work,
Yeah,
or is success making a living doing it? Like I think the indie game community is growing rapidly.
mm,
Like at this day and age, anyone can make games, and that's amazing. It's growing the medium so fast, and so I'd say personally, in that respect, I'd say the indie community is wildly successful in introducing new people and getting new experiences and just broadening what it means to like make games or make anything. I think
yeah,
it's wonderful.
awesome.
So
Awesome.
I'd say it's successful in that regard.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so do you test your games? Just, do you test your games by yourself, or do you have a small team? Or
So I guess I guess I have a small team.
yeah,
In that most of the testing for games happens just me playing it and making sure it's fun.
yeah,
But every now and then, I will absolutely throw a build to a friend of mine or dev communities that I'm like really trusting of, and like, hey, play this and break it and tell me why it's broken.
yeah,
And like, I think that's super important. It's hard to often because you're like, no, I don't want anyone to see it until it's done. Like you want to protect your investment,
yeah,
but I suppose I do often send it to friends and like I need you to see this and have hands on and like let, because you're like inches away from it. It's hard to tell some of the time.
yeah, yeah,
So handing it to other people is often really helpful. But most of the time I develop on my own and just learn stuff until it's ready to be handed off and broken.
yeah, and then come back and start again.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so in the past, like games would be released and they would have to be finished. Like there was no
Mm-hmm.
proper internet back when PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Xbox, Nintendo, like they had to release the full game no matter what. And if they didn't, that was bad luck sort of thing.
Right.
Nowadays, they released, in my opinion, half cooked games. Like look at
Mm.
what was the game called? That just got a massive update. Uh, the space one. Ah,
uh,
I've forgotten it.
is it is it
No,
a space sim or is it
No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky. This is
No Man's Sky? Right, right.
a perfect. Thank you, printer. Yeah, No Man's Sky. Um, like they released this game that was meant to be like you get to fly around with your friends, and you know
Right.
I've never really dug super deep into this, but there was a massive hype about it.
Yeah.
So and in 2 years' time, they released the full game.
Mm-hmm.
So, my question to you is like, gaming developing companies are just releasing these half-cooked games, sort of thing, and
Mm.
um, then releasing the rest later on. As a smaller developer, is this like a viable option, or do you want to
Um.
really pan everything out, making sure it's all done and dusted, and if something breaks, fix it? But yeah,
Right. I think I think there's a big misconception with that in that like ga- games as an industry, games have always been rushed. We've had so many. Old PlayStation 1 era, there were tons of games on there that were rushed.
yeah,
But a lot of that it has nothing to do with the company developing it itself. Usually they're on like a strict deadline and their
mm,
investors expect a lot
yeah,
and they need to see progress and they need to see deadlines hit. So even Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts uh, was Xbox 360. This sort of really not great game that Rare was roped into making. They were, according to one of the programmers, were working on Banjo 3, and they were on schedule to release it on time, and it was amazing. But their investors came in and decided they were going to sweep everything away and hook them up with something else.
yeah,
And on the last legs of development. So they had to piece together what they had with all this other junk that they were given.
Ugh.
And it was rough.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that's the difficult part. Is like in the industry has always, it's just like any other industry. They have timetables, they have deadlines to meet, they have stuff, and sometimes stuff gets rushed. But when it comes to releasing stuff after the fact, I think it is viable, but it depends because look at Fortnite. When Fortnite first came out, it was this survival horror sort of horror survival game with pals, and you build forts and stuff.
Yeah.
Fortnite, and it was really charming. But then PUBG started to really grow and expand the battle royale genre, and now Fortnite has been every few weeks adding huge update changes, and they've taken a game that originally was okay, and now they've just been adding and adding and adding, and now it's this phenomenon. And Sea of Thieves is doing something very similar, where once they put it out, they're like, all right, this is what we got, and then they've been slowly adding to it. And I think that's really great, especially for smaller teams where you want to get your project out there and you want people to play it right away and immediately. Like that's almost akin to playtesting. Like you are automatically getting feedback and you can change on the fly.
Yeah.
Before it was written to a disk and you were done. Once you send that out, that's it. A bad review, that sucked, but nothing you can do. Maybe you learn from it and put it out in the sequel. But nowadays you have a chance to do it right then and there. It's like, oh, people want this big feature. I'm going to spend like a month doing this or several months, and then I'm going to put that in and patch it in, and you get No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, people really want this, so let's really push for it.
But the that thing was meant to be like, that's what they really brought for their promotion stuff, was this is what it's going to be.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, I think there was a lot of hype around that got sort of lost in the confusion.
Yeah, so a lot of people weren't happy with it, but no, they're happy with it. So
yeah, now they're stoked.
Yeah, we got a game we wanted and we paid for, and it's awesome. So yeah, I've been meaning to get No Man's Sky, but you need money to buy games.
Money is an important facet of purchasing things. Yes.
Everyone should just buy me games. Buy me games, everybody, and then I can just talk about them.
Experience them and stream them.
That's living the dream right there.
Right.
Do you recommend indie development or mainstream development?
So, I've actually discussed this with a good friend of mine a lot in the past, and I think the idea that games are indie versus mainstream is another sort of difficult misconception, because there are a ton of studios out there that are considered independent, answering to a dependent, and there's plenty of mainstream or AAA studios doing things fairly on their own independently. So I think the question instead depends on what you're interested in. How do you want to make games? Do you want to join a team? Like, how do you want to contribute?
Yeah.
There's likely a studio or group that has a place for you, no matter what you want to do or how you want to do it, or even if you want to just go solo. But it comes down to you in the end. I've eagerly chased both AAA and small team projects and have had wildly varied experiences. So it doesn't exactly answer your question.
No.
But I think game development isn't nearly so black and white. It's really, really varied. So it just depends on
all depends on the individual and
absolutely,
and what they want out of it.
Yeah. And again, you can, there are big studios out there that probably aren't your cup of tea, like big desk jobs at like EA or something like that that you might not want. But there's, again, like a Bungie over in Redmond. They're pretty comfortable. They're a really wonderful way of working, and I don't know, it just varies. It depends entirely on what you want to do.
Would you work for EA? Given the opportunity? No?
Probably not.
No.
I would. I think it depends largely on what they're offering, like what the project is. But I don't know. They've got a rap with me personally that I'm like, I don't know. It depends. It really does. Because again, if it's a passion, like if it's a project that like I can see myself working on,
Yeah.
then as long as the people there are wonderful and I can fit in with a team, then absolutely. But I guess EA just has sort of a bad rap.
Yeah, I think that even just as a video game player as myself, as EA is like everything's behind a paywall, pay for everything, and
Yeah.
I just need to make
And
all the
I
money in the world.
definitely I feel like that definitely isn't the developers themselves. I feel like there are decisions being made that they have no
Yeah.
say over. So I think again, like it depends on the project. If there were a project where I got to do amazing environment art or something like that, I would kill to work on that. But
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to be on the marketing side, if nothing else.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the investors there, trying to get
Yeah.
as much money as possible.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the video game industry, isn't it? At the end of the day, is
Yeah, I mean,
like the big.
yeah,
I'm not
it's still
talking about like yourself or other, but at the end of the day, you need to make money, or else you can't develop games.
Yeah.
Like that's
yeah.
I think
It's a business like anything
Yeah.
else, and that's good and bad. It varies.
Yeah.
So there are way more intelligent people out there who can absolutely study this thing and tell you exactly why like certain trends go the way they do.
Yeah.
But I'm not that person.
And I'm definitely not either. I'm just a guy that asks questions.
Right.
Okay, so how do you manage to get your name out to companies or I guess just companies like or developers or someone that you want to work with? How do you go about that process?
I'd say get involved. Do game jams, make stuff, and make art. Post it in as many places as you can find. You got ArtStation, you got Twitter, even fucking DeviantArt. You've got options. You've got tons of options. But just make stuff and post it and show it around and let people watch you grow as a creator and just keep going. Get in, like I said, get involved. You can. There's the TIG source forums. There's all sorts of stuff. There's just communities and communities. Itch has lists of game jams that you can go through and like I want to participate in that, and like maybe you can even get a team together. Ludum Dare happens, and you can get a team together for that. And like I think just get involved. Just start involving yourself in the community, and the more you make stuff, the more people are going to want to like see more of your work, and the more they're going to want to know you as a person, and eventually you're going to have friends, and those friends are going to recommend you to places. So it's just get involved, make stuff.
All right, so the main thing there is just get involved with other things from other people. Just get involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Always get involved. Okay. A Kickstarter is a plus in the industry of game development, or are there unseen problems that arise from it?
So I think this is a big question because I mean, of course, there's unseen problems. There are obvious ones too. Like, where does your audience come from? How much do you ask for? Is it enough? Like, on top of that, like, what are your timetables like? There's a lot of big questions when you start a Kickstarter, and I think the concept of Kickstarter, the idea that a dev group or even an independent dev, just one person can go in and announce their game. It's scary. It's terrifying. And that happens. There are even like Double Fine. Double Fine had a massively successful Kickstarter. There are even big companies that do this. I think Kickstarter can be great for game development. I think it can be wonderful, but there's a lot of error. There's a lot of room for error, and I think you just need to have a plan. You have to make sure you know what's going into it, and you have to make sure you can manage everything. And on top of that, you need to make sure you have an audience, which PR work is hard.
Yeah, definitely. There's something I would definitely not want to get into is personal relations.
It's challenging.
Yeah. Okay, so is censorship a major hurdle within the indie development or game development?
I think, hmm, that's also an interesting question, especially because of what Steam's been up to lately. Um,
What has Steam been
it
up to?
it
I'm not
largely
sure.
depends. Steam has been having a difficult time with uh, sexual games. They've been pretty radio silent with a lot of devs, and it's making people concerned because they haven't gone the extra mile to help developers understand what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, their games just don't exist according to Steam.
Okay.
It's a little odd. Valve has had something of a difficult time um, helping other devs. So censorship in games, at least in the indie community, I don't think we have nearly as difficult time because a lot of indies are very mature about maintaining like what they are and knowing what they are, knowing their audience and
Yeah.
recognizing like who they're talking to.
Yeah.
So censorship doesn't really come into play.
Mm.
The AAA market might have a more difficult time, if only because depending on who they're answering to, they might not have a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah.
So they might try to get creative with certain ideas and have an investor come in or have a higher up come in or even just a lead say like, hey, maybe not do this.
Yeah.
It really depends on where it's coming from. I think right now it's a good time for that discussion because again, Valve sort of dropping the ball with sexual games and content on their platform and not really communicating well. I think it's a good time to talk about that censorship problem because I don't necessarily consider it an issue among devs themselves, but I think the community at large is confused, if nothing else.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. So, is it profitable to be a little offensive? Like,
Huh.
like, like it. Obviously, you have this really thin line with this one, and the smallest
Right.
infraction can cause a huge snowball of problems.
So I'd say no. In the long run, if you're offensive, you're going to get written off in a lot of ways.
Yep.
And in fact, there are chances that you get you ride that line and you play that offense. And even if you've had a community up to that point and they trust you and they know you, but they see that, but the people who aren't in your community see that one tiny thing or that small thing that you straddled the line with. Some people are going to recognize you as that for the rest of time.
Yeah.
And that's challenging, and that can completely botch your reputation. I know there's a lot of discussion around devs who do things that are inherently or like intentionally antagonistic or what was that PR stunt that Dante's Inferno did, which was hire a bunch of people to protest the game and stuff like that.
Okay, that's different.
It was weird. It was a weird PR stunt. But stuff like that and being intentionally offensive like that, I don't know. I don't think it's worth it. And I honestly think you're going to make more enemies or even just write people off
Yeah.
than you're going to see success. You might see a spike in numbers briefly, but a lot of journalists and a lot of coverage that a lot of sites are getting are realizing that hate clicks are not exactly working out for them in the long term.
Yeah.
They're just getting the wrong audiences.
Yeah, definitely. So, don't be offensive. So, like,
No.
like, does that restrict as an artist? Like, does that restrict you from creating what you want in a sense? Like, you have to really toe the
No.
line with all these other
Nah.
people. So you don't really have to do that sort of thing.
Nope. I think when you're paying attention, it's easy to not be offensive. I think as long as you're keeping tabs on yourself and you're willing to grow as a person and you're willing to listen to feedback. Like if you do something that's offensive and somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, this was not okay and this hurt me personally." It's pretty easy to go into yourself and be like, "Oh, no, they're wrong. Like that was my joke. Like I get what I was going for, or I get what I was trying to
Yeah.
do. It's easy to do that, but instead, if you're receptive and you're like, oh, okay, maybe I should be maybe a little more careful with that. Like you can easily just like accept that. And it's not necessarily games content, but the McElroy brothers have been doing a lot of this. Like throughout their career, they've done a lot of talks on like every time they make an offensive joke and someone comes to them and says, "Hey, this hurt," they're like, "Oh, okay, we'll be better." I don't think it restricts you. I think if anything, it's just a matter of learning.
Yeah.
It's like anything else. It's like learning etiquette. It's just being polite and being respectful. And there are plenty of games that intentionally explore this in the indie community, I think.
Yeah.
There are a lot of games that very intentionally explore this because it is a topic that's on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
But I
definitely.
think, yeah, I don't think it restricts me, at least personally. I think a lot of devs could learn a lot to be receptive.
Yeah. Take advice as advice and work off the advice. And if someone's offended, like, try and see their perspective of it. Yeah. Okay, say, okay, why were they offended? Okay, maybe I can see it. Maybe I can't see it. Maybe,
right.
And yeah, get the feedback from the community is probably the best thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you're receptive and willing to grow, I think you're fine.
Yeah, awesome. So, if you want to be offensive, but be ready for the backlash as well, and ready to destroy your reputation if that does happen.
Be ready to go down with your ship.
Yeah. All right. So, I'm not sure if I probably should have asked you this pre-show, but with a quick Google search of Zenuel, I found music come up.
Oh yes.
Yes, that's you.
Yes, that's
All
me.
right. Awesome. Because
I do all sorts of stuff.
Yep. So, what type of music and like?
Oh goodness.
Do you use your music in your games?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
No.
All of my games have music and sounds and stuff written by me. In fact, Starbound, I was originally brought on to help with music with Curtis.
Yep.
I was my original focus before games was music. I did a lot of electronic stuff, like a lot.
Yep.
And over the years, I've gradually been learning orchestral work and writing and stuff like that. And it's still really fun, but I found this huge passion with 3D art and environment art and stuff like that. And sort of music has fallen by the wayside. I still practice it and I still do it and it's still really fun. But yeah, I still occasionally put out an album every now and then of something I'm working on.
Yeah, awesome. So as a game developer, that's your full-time job?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, sorry, you gonna say something?
Oh no, it's mostly voice acting, so it's my full-time job.
Okay, your voice acting's full-time job.
Voice acting and 3D modeling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Music, I haven't made money off music in a while.
Yeah.
Albums occasionally sell pretty well, but no, mostly it's just focus on game dev.
Okay, so like taking like a jump like that is super scary for some people because the money side of things it can be varied, I guess. The same as it'd be fairly similar to Twitch streaming. Going from working full time to full time Twitch streaming, it would be the scariest thing in anyone's life.
Oh yeah.
So like, how did you get over that? I guess like, how did you just say, "Yep, this is what I want to do," and I'm going for it?
So I think I've been doing freelance for a while, and freelance all sorts of stuff. Like it started with just freelance music and doing commissions for other games and doing work for other people, and learned a lot doing that. But going full-time games is not recommended, not even remotely, because it's a risk. It's a huge risk, and like even now I'm still looking into getting studio positions and then looking into getting a full-time studio position or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I love working on my own, and I love being able to make my own stuff. But obviously, I don't have it in me to do the legwork of a million different PR people who
Yeah.
can advertise this stuff and really try to sell it. And a lot of what I make, I'm not interested in selling. I'm interested in making it,
Yeah.
and that's the beginning and the end of it. But it's terrifying. The way I got over it, I suppose, is like I move a lot,
Yeah.
and I move states, I move countries, I move provinces, I move all over the place. And as a result, having like a job that I have to physically go to can be daunting, if only because I know in maybe a year or two I'm going to move again.
Yeah.
So I have to leave it behind. So my best chance of getting work is something that I can do remotely, which is voice acting, which is game design, which is stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. All right. Cool. All right. I'll be back in 1 sec. I'm just gonna put a
Yeah.
back screen on. I just gotta go run and do something real quick.
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
no worries.
All right. And sorry about that, guys. We are back. All right. And continuing from where we were. All right. So
Yeah.
what's the best software to start with game design?
Oh, honestly, I'm I'm biased. I'm very biased. Unity is my favorite
Unity?
for game development. Unity is it is the fastest thing you can pick up. It's got just a huge, extensive library of tutorials, and then the community for it is massive. And on top of that, you have the asset store. So if you ever don't want to make something very specific, it's probably on the asset store for you,
Yeah.
and you can just pick it up there.
Okay.
I think it's fantastic. You can learn a ton from it.
And like you can actually build stuff with Unity. Like.
Oh yeah, yeah,
you-
absolutely.
So, as I said, I haven't really dabbled too much at all in this actually. So Unreal Engine is probably the biggest one, I'd assume.
Unreal is pretty big. It's I've never actually used it. I've been eager to, but I hear it's similar to Unity in the fact that it's an engine you can pick up and get your hands dirty pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
In fact, there are AAA games being made with Unity still. Like the BattleTech just came out recently on Steam, and it was also made entirely in Unity. But no, I think both of those engines, Unreal and Unity, are phenomenal.
Okay. So I'll definitely once I get a decent. Do you need a decent computer to do this? Like that's probably because computers are fucking expensive.
What's that?
A decent computer. Do you need a decent computer
Yeah.
to? Because
You need a decent one for Unreal, I think, or at least better. Unity is great. You can use it on like fucking anything. It's
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. So you need a reasonable computer to use Unreal Engine, and Unity will
Yeah,
run on
pretty much anything.
pretty much anything. Okay, so if you're not rich and you just have a basic computer or something, Unity would be the way to go on that.
Absolutely.
And Unreal Engine if you've got a beefy computer.
Yep.
So
And even semi beefy, they've been getting better about optimizing it.
yeah, because yeah, I've just got a Lenovo, so just a basic laptop at the moment until I can afford, $2,500 to go out and buy a gaming computer. Is what I'm after at the end day. I've got what I want, but I just need the money for it.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Okay, so what is the process of getting a game copyrighted?
Oh, that's a good question. I have no idea.
Oh, you have no idea. I guess that was never one of your...
Yeah, that is... No, I never worked in that side of games. I honestly don't know. I'm sure I have friends who know, but...
I'll have to do my...
I have no idea.
My own research on that one then, because I'm guessing not many people in, like, as a smaller indie game developer or someone that's not really... I guess that would be more of a law thing, wouldn't it, there?
Right, yeah.
Someone that's working for the law side of things. So...
Yeah.
Not my type.
Yeah, the legal department would probably have a much better understanding of that whole process, because I have no idea.
So, what's your take on VR games?
I only recently got to experience VR, and it's I love them. I'm probably not as grounded or invested as most VR devs. I'm interested in to play with it more, and I definitely want to experience it more. There's more. I want to see more experiences out of it, and I'm excited about that. And I'm excited that a lot more people are getting access to it. VR as a whole, it fascinates me, and I want to play with it. I haven't found the passion that a lot of other devs have yet, but I think it's healthy. I think it's amazing. To have more varied ways to interact with games is phenomenal. Yeah.
So will you ever try and design a game like a VR game, or is that something you'd like to do?
I think yeah. I now have the ability to make a game in VR, and I'm going to do my best to try at the very least.
Yeah.
And I think that could be fun.
So what about augmented reality games?
That one's even further away from my experience. I have maybe played Pokemon Go, and I guess that sort of counts.
Yep.
I've seen a lot of devs who are doing amazing stuff with augmented reality, and I think it's rad. I think it's super cool, but I have to get used to VR first, and then I'll gradually join the two.
So, like, as technology advances, we've got VR, and then we're starting to get the glasses that you can see shit with.
Yeah.
So, that's
super rad.
That's something that's so cool to me. But like,
I think if nothing else, I'd want to make tools for it.
Yeah,
because I think that could be fun.
Like, you could have like apps on it, and you could play a game where you're walking around the street and you're just doing weird shit. Like you look like a weirdo, but that's okay. Everyone would be doing it. It's
true. You wouldn't be alone.
No, but I think one of the scary things about that is, like, I'm not sure what it was from. It might have been a movie, might have been a TV show, but everyone had these glasses on, like I guess they're AR glasses. I'm not really sure what you'd call them. And like there was just ads everywhere.
Oh my god!
Like every as you're walking down the street, like an ad would come into your face, and like a Coca-Cola ad, and you'd have to swipe it away, and then you'd keep walking, and like the all the signs that on the shops and stuff were in. It said you could flick your glasses up, and it was just this dull-looking street. You flick your glasses, flick your glasses down, and it's just this lit up, beautiful-looking street
goodness.
with ads.
Sounds like a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah. So I don't think it was Black Mirror, but that's something that I guess is definitely a possibility with that sort of thing.
That could be really fun. That could be fascinating.
Like you walk down this dodgy looking alley, but with your glasses on, it's just this beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, like you got lights and all this fancy looking stuff, and
that would be really cool. There's a lot of implementation for it. I think there's a lot of room for it to grow, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't know if I'm going to dive into augmented reality just yet. Maybe in the future once I make some VR stuff, but VR is my new sort of interest, my intrigue. I'm gonna play with that for a bit and see what that's all about.
Sorry.
Uh-oh.
Oh my god, that scared the shit out of me. That was I clicked on a YouTube video that Printer B mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
And it played. I thought I had it paused. And yeah, and that is the exact one I was talking about. Hyper reality presents a proactive. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Oh man.
I'm not sure if. Yeah, but that's what I was talking about. Was this? Yeah, you get to play these games with your glasses, and there's news flying at you, and there's all these ads and stuff, which and I think that's the future. That's the future right there, in my opinion.
It could be interesting. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of work to be done, but
oh yeah,
I think
definitely,
it'll be fascinating.
Definitely a lot of work to be done, but the future looks so bright.
Yeah, honestly, we've got access to so much stuff.
Yeah,
and the more we get devs and the more we get people involved, the more varied and wild our industry is going to grow, and I think that's only for the best.
Definitely. That's about it for my questions. I'm just gonna ask any of the viewers if you have any questions now. If you have a question, drop it below. And what's your favorite food?
Oh man. Honestly, I'm terrible. I love cookies. I always have a box of cookies near my desk. It's not food, but what can you do?
You could probably live off it, but it wouldn't be very healthy.
Yeah, not very healthy.
Cookie.
I guess failing that, most Italian dishes, honestly. I like my family's always made like spaghetti and lasagna and chicken parmesan and stuff like that. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Anything with a lot of cheese, despite the fact that I can't
eat cheese.
have a lot of cheese.
Yes.
Whoops.
Of course. You always want stuff you can't have.
I know. And you want it more when you can't have it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely. I'm lucky enough I don't have any allergies or intolerances.
Oh,
my mum has taken every single intolerance and she's got it. Like she's lactose intolerant, gluten intolerant. She cannot use makeup because it gives her a rash. Deodorant, like mainstream deodorant, she can't use. Because she just breaks out in rashes, and obviously lactose intolerant. Everyone knows what that does to you. Gluten, gluten intolerance does exactly the same thing as lactose intolerance.
Oh my goodness!
So
yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, my mum has like dietary requirements coming out of literally
the whole 9 yards. Yeah. Oh,
but she's managed. Like obviously she's still around.
Oh man.
But yeah, like
that's good.
Like the little things like shampoo and stuff she can't use, so she has to find different types of shampoo to use. Like
man.
She uses apple cider vinegar and something else. Like she makes her own shampoo.
Oh wow, that's a feat.
Yeah, because she can't use anything else.
Right,
she can't use all the bottled stuff because it's
must be fascinating to like learn an entire skill just because like nobody's catering to it. That's really interesting.
And she's never wore makeup because she can't. And she has to buy like the super expensive deodorants and everything that like being intolerant to something, it's always so much more expensive.
Yeah. Lactose intolerance is I'm learning sort of pricey, but everyone that I know that is lactose intolerant does not respect their lactose intolerance very well.
Yeah,
we're generous with our consumption.
So, what's your favorite beverage?
Milk. Tragically. I cut out soda in the last few years, so it's been milk and water and the occasional odd fizzy drink when my friends recommend it.
Yeah.
But milk and water. Whoops.
I drink way too much crap. Red Bull.
It's easy. It's good stuff. Honestly, it's addicting.
It tastes good, and it's like I can have a Red Bull and go. I'll probably head straight to bed.
Wow, jeez.
Say with coffee, like I'll drink. I've had 2 Red Bulls now, and I'm still like I could probably fall asleep.
Kind of groggy.
Yeah, like
Dang.
like that's just, and that's exactly the same as my mum. Like my mum's the same
Oh
as that.
yeah.
So I've taken that off my mum. Damn. Which is a bummer. Like I'd love to have a Red Bull and be like, yeah, I feel
Just wired and just
Yeah.
ready for the day.
yeah, and it's just
Yeah.
like, it might keep me awake for like a little bit because I'm drinking it, but other than that,
Yeah.
but yeah, is there any questions you have yourself, or comments that you'd like to say?
I don't know. No, I think honestly, I've gotten a chance to talk about everything, and I feel pretty confident about this.
Yeah,
Honestly, I'm just stoked. I'm glad you reached out. This is cool.
yeah, I'm super happy that you have accepted my offer, and I've had a heap of fun, and I'd love to have you back
Yeah.
on the show as a guest again,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
talking about this is new to me because I've never done it before, and I've
Right,
I've,
right.
I've I've learned a heap of stuff which I'm going to go off and make an effort to try a few things
Heck
and
yeah.
really get down in the rabbit hole, I guess, with that sort of stuff.
Heck yeah. Yeah, if you make anything, if you get involved with Unity, let me know. I would love to see what you put out. That would be super fun.
I'm not very creative. Like I'm probably one of the most like I'll be like, yeah, you, like even with my hair, I'm like, just you do you. Don't worry about me. I'll my hair will grow back. You
Right.
Just do whatever. I don't
Oh,
care.
Goodness.
I don't know what I want. I never know what I want.
Nah, there's avenues for that because there are fascinating ways to be creative in game development. Even programming, you can get creative in a lot of fascinating ways, and mostly it's problem solving.
Yeah.
You get creative in how you solve a problem. It's always really fun because there's like an infinite number of ways to do it almost every time.
Do you use code at all, or is it just
I program in C Sharp. I used to I program C Sharp. I used to program C++, but they're not super. They are comparable, but they're not. They're still 2 completely separate beasts. But C Sharp is what I mainly program in. I've worked on JSON a lot, but that's mostly just keeping track of things.
yeah? So I'd say like code would be way over my head.
Oh yeah, I mean that's why I recommend Unity so much. Their tutorials will break it down in the quickest and easiest terms. It's mostly just logic. It's very straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah, like so something about code. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Like
It is. It's intimidating. It's so intimidating.
But it's beautiful. Like there's all this random words that make something.
Yeah. There's a game on Steam that did something similar, excuse me. Which is you would actually write code to influence the world. And you played like this big magician who like had massive powers who could do stuff, but it was all you programming stuff. So if you wanted to like move rocks or move mountains or things, you would have to program it. And it was really cool. It was a really neat concept. I'll have to find that and tweet that or something, but it's a really neat concept. It's the idea that you can just write some words and have the world change. It's phenomenal.
So would that be a way to learn code in a fun, interactive way, or?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're excellent ways. They're excellent avenues to get into this kind of sort of thing. Is you have something that like gives you that sort of feedback, as opposed to actually writing code in Unity and then sort of seeing minor feedback every now and then, or maybe make a big change and something breaks and you have no idea why.
Yeah.
I think games that focus on teaching you programming are huge. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, that's definitely something to look into if you're into that. But anyway, I think that's all we have time for today.
All right.
I
It's been a
appreciate
pleasure. Thanks again for having me.
and thank you for coming on. And make sure you do go follow our guest today, Zenuel, on Twitter. His Twitter is at pale feather. I say that horribly. At pale feather zen. Oh, sorry. And
It's time to wake up.
and his website is Zenuel ZENUEL.com. And twitch.tv/Zenuel. I'm not sure how often he streams. Do you stream often?
I try to stream, but I don't really stream game dev. I mostly stream games.
Games, yep. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I've streamed modeling in the past though, so I might do it again.
Yeah, that's definitely something that is I've never actually watched. But what would that fall under? What category?
I honestly don't know. I have friends that stream. I think it's. Do they have a creative category?
Oh, creative. Yeah, creative category.
That might be it.
Yeah, that would be it. I'm thinking IRL, but it wouldn't be IRL at all.
I didn't even know that was a category. Boy.
Yeah. Oh man, IRL's huge, man. Like, if you go into IRL creative, thank you, printer. If you go into the IRL section in Twitch, like, there's people in Japan that they set up a camera in a shop and they eat food.
What?
And get like 1,000. Hang on, I'll quickly just. Where do we get category browse? IRL. There's 54,000 viewers currently in the IRL section on Twitch.
Oh my goodness.
The top person is doing media shares. I'm trying to find one where they're eating. Where are they eating? Okay, it must be the wrong time for it because there's no one. But
oh dang, yeah, I suppose it is the other hemisphere.
Japan, so it's not dinner time quite yet.
No, that's wild. I had no idea.
Oh man,
I guess there's something for everybody. That's cool.
It's a huge thing. I don't know what they call themselves. I've never actually watched them. I don't really plan.
You just know they exist.
Yeah, I don't plan on watching them, but right. I just know they exist.
I think that's good for any medium. Knowing who your peers are, knowing the work that's out there, you can appreciate that.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's like talk shows is what this is. Like people do this, and then people like, I'm not sure if you've heard of ASMR.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's very popular.
That's massively popular, and it's, to me,
so varied too.
To me personally, it's like people just whispering into a microphone.
Right. People have specialized mics for it too. Like,
yeah,
I've seen a lot of weird stuff with it. It's wild.
Yeah. So, but if you're good at something, why not take it to the world?
Yeah, why not?
And
if people appreciate it, why not?
If you're good at it, and maybe you can make a career out of it, and you're enjoying yourself, I think that's the main thing in life, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly, there's that, and just sort of doing you, making sure you're making stuff for you, making sure you're satisfied, or even if you're not satisfied with your work, just making stuff and forgetting about the end product and just being happy creating it.
Yeah, so definitely just be happy and you do you, and it'll work out.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
And again, I'll thank you for being on our show.
It's my pleasure.
And that's it. So make sure you go follow our guest. Oh, hang on. I've got half my note. Uh-oh, what have I done? There we go.
Oh, no.
There we go. All good. Yeah.
Nice.
Follow our guest at Pale Feather Zen, and his website is zenuel.com. ZENUEL.com.
Nice.
All right. And